what?
There is no or what. I'm asking you. I'm coming to you and I'm asking you, please. I don't want to have to take it from you.
And if I don't, then what? Then you're gonna beat my face in like Ed Peltier, aren't you? Y'all seen his face, huh? What's left of it? See, now that's what happens when someone crosses you.
Jim, hey, nobody is going to hurt you, okay?
It's a lie. It's the biggest lie there is. I told that to my wife and the two boys. I said it 100 times. It didn't matter. They came out of nowhere. There are dozens of them. They just pulled them right out of my hands. You know, the only reason I got away was because the dead were too busy eating my family.
Easy, Jim. Grab him. Grab him.
I'm okay. 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 I'm okay.
Jim, do you want this?
No. You'll need it. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Welcome everyone to Dead Talk Live. I'm your host Viz from Walking Dead Now, and it is my honor tonight to welcome our very special guest, Andrew Rothenberg, who's agreed to join us live here tonight. Andrew, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me here.
It's an honor, to, like I said, to have you here with us tonight. You have been in the industry going on almost 30 years now. And we're going to get to some of your other projects a little bit later on. But of course, let's start off with The Walking Dead. Explain to us the process that led to you getting the role of Jim on The Walking Dead.
Like most parts, I just sit by the phone and wait. Not true. I was out in LA and I had, like almost any audition, you get a call from your agent saying, hey, there's this thing. It's based on a comic book. I hadn't heard of The Walking Dead at all. I wasn't familiar with the graphic novels. Some friends of mine were, and they're like, oh my God, you're auditioning for The Walking Dead. And I went in a little early, maybe an hour or two early, and they handed me the huge, first section of the graphic novels. And I sat down and looked through it. Luckily, Jim was only in the first section, so I was able to get through that.
Uh-huh.
And then I just went in, and the casting director was great, really took their time with it. And, a lot of times auditions, you'll feel rushed and they'll tell you to just go faster and be happy. And obviously that didn't really apply to this very much. And I went back a second time and I didn't hear anything for weeks. And then they actually called me in for another part for this, crossbow guy, a little bit racist. I'm like, okay, this is kind of fun. I could do this guy too. I've done that before. And I worked on that. That turned out to be Daryl. And that was fun. But then again, then I didn't hear anything for a while. And then sometimes you hear within a week. This one was probably at least 3 weeks, maybe more.
Uh-huh.
And then they let me know I got it. And that I was going to be going to Atlanta for a couple months, which was amazing. It was the first time I've worked on something where they fly you out and put you up and you live there in the town, and it was a great feeling.
Wow. That's so you they were considering you for Daryl.
They did, yeah. I don't know if they had Norman in mind yet. And actually I found out later that they had their first choice for Jim was another guy. Uh-huh. And as what happens in the business, they casting and the directors and the producers decide on who they want, and they send it over to the network, and the network has to approve it. And I guess he was not approved, luckily for me. and then I was in there.
And
so,
the rest is history.
Rest is history.
The best episode, season 1, is season 1, episode 4, called Vatos. You were the reason why that episode stood out. No doubt about it. Your performance was real, raw, gut-wrenching. Your best quote from that episode is, quote, "The only reason I got away was because the dead were too busy eating my family." And that was actually a part of the opening clip that we played. Jim was a broken man who had lost his entire family. What would you say was the motivating factor that kept Jim going in trying to protect the group that he hardly knew? What do you think motivated him to keep on going after he was so broken from losing his family?
Oh man, that's a good question. He was, I think he was trapped in his own head of what he let happen. You know, I think anyone would feel immense guilt being alive, and survivor's guilt, maybe in a way of, and it's your own family, and there's nothing you can do. And he may not ever reveal the circumstances under which he was able to actually get away. What did he not do that meant he might not have survived in that moment? But did he not try to save his family? Did he? So it's pretty horrible. So I feel like a lot of what we saw Jim go through was just, he was just in such a protected place. Maybe he was in a place where he's shut down. Dale kind of bonds to him, Jeffrey DeMunn.
Yeah.
As an actor, we were like this. We were tight. We still are. He's an amazing actor and a wonderful, wonderful man. And I loved kind of being buddies on there with him. And I feel like Jim and Dale really kind of kept each other moving forward. And Jim was a mechanic, and there's stuff to do. So they gave him, I think anyone, apocalypse or not, can relate to all of a sudden, oh, I have a purpose. All right, let me focus on this, until he has a dream, and then it's all over.
Yeah, sort of to take your mind away from things. And we saw many scenes where it's you and Dale working on the RV together. So it was like a good distraction. Now, moving over to Gerald Prescott, who portrayed Jackie in that first season with you. You guys shared a pivotal moment when Jackie reveals to the group that you were bitten. Now, did you, from the aspect of Jim's point of view, did Jim see that as an act of betrayal, or was she just looking out for the rest of the group and herself included?
Yeah, I still can't look Gerald in the eye. That was cold. It's really, these questions are very interesting because they're things that they are afterthoughts of what happened. Looking back on them, as opposed to as an actor in the moment, how do you react and what is the information you have? So it's very interesting because I haven't really thought about how do I see her after that? Because in the moment it was just like, hey, we're all, to be in the show's head, we are all in this horrible situation. I get it. I understand. I was hoping I could get away with it.
Yeah.
And I would be fine. I was the first one in the group to be alive and have a bite. And what does that mean? Nobody really knows. So I think Jim was really just hoping no one would notice. I don't honestly feel like he blamed her or had any ill feelings for her at all.
Yeah, and that happened the morning after, I assume, after Amy got bit.
Yeah, we're burning the bodies, we're moving the bodies around. Amy got bit. She was laying over there waiting to. Oh no, she'd already come back alive, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, she already reanimated. And Laurie Holt and Andrea had to put her down. Now, when Jackie reveals that you've been bit and everyone surrounds you, at first everyone is really scared because they know what is going to most likely happen. But within a split second, that fear turns to, wow, we're going to lose you, okay? And Jim is also in a state of shock. He keeps repeating, "I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay." Now, the expression on Jim's face is, but like I said, both fear and confusion. Were you directed to play that scene out with those emotions, or is that something that you injected into Jim yourself at that moment?
Well, I'm often in a state of fear and confusion, so it I think that's probably why I got cast. Look, I take things like that are just the more emotional scenes, and I think a lot of actors would say the same thing. You take what is given to you by the other actors and what happens in the moment, and it really feeds what you do. I don't create what I'm going to do in a bubble and go out there and do it in my bubble and hope everyone else is in my bubble, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I was definitely it was a while ago, but for instance, the I'm okays, there's like one I'm okay in the script, and I, for whatever reason, I just felt I had to just keep repeating it, and I knew that in the same way that I wasn't upset with Gerald's character, there's just, I know we are all in this messed up place right now, and I don't know what is going to happen, but I'm going to have hope and trust that maybe we can work this thing out. But there was a lot of freedom given and trust in the actors on that set to know what to do, and very little, little pushes here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of that is attributed to the amazing casting and just getting the right. That's a huge part of any show. You get the right people in there, and they know how to work with each other.
That's great to hear, because it sounds, you being a member of that original group, the first season, the premiere season of The Walking Dead, from what we heard from Emma Bell as well, is the directors, the producers really let you guys do your thing, as opposed to some of the later in the show actors who say things are a lot more controlled now. And for me personally, I think that's what led to that first season being so successful and the franchise becoming what it eventually became. Now, when your character was bit, that was the first time ever that Rick Grimes mentions the CDC. When they're all having that huddle discussion while Jim is sitting by the RV, Rick's plan is to maybe get you to the CDC in the hopes that they're still up and running and they may have a cure. Now, we know that you never make it to the CDC.
Spoiler.
If the group showed up at the CDC with you being bit and very critically ill at the moment, do you think Jenner, the guy at the CDC, ever opens up those doors for them?
That's a good question, because my initial thought is no. However, he was pretty dismal at that point. I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference, but I'm trying to remember. Do you remember? Did he?
Well, they got to the CDC.
They're out there banging on.
They're
the door
banging on the door. They're being surrounded. They're coming in at all sides, and it took Rick seeing the outdoor cameras move, so he knew somebody was watching them, and he basically pleaded, "Hey, you're just gonna let us die out here?" And that's when you see the door open up. He didn't automatically. Jenner didn't see them just strolling up the walkway and opened up the door right away from them. You could tell, even though it's not in scene, it's implied that he was really debating whether or not to let them in or not.
I think Jenner knew more than anyone else about the Walker. What would you call it? Disease, the
virus,
Walker virus. I call it many things. Sorry. So my first instinct is no, he would not let them in. However, if he did, then he would definitely be keeping Jim somewhere else and maybe even want to do some experiments on him.
That's, I have not thought of that.
Yeah.
From a doctor's scientific point of view, he says, hey, there's another test subject coming in here. Never quite thought of that. Now, the group honored Jim's request to be left by the side of the road and not continue on to the CDC. In your opinion, was that Jim's way of controlling how he wanted to die? Or did he just lose all hope and did not want to put, like Dale, who, Dale and Jim became close, did not want to put Dale in jeopardy or the children in jeopardy? Did you want to control your fate?
Definitely. He had already done enough damage by not being able to save his family. I think any father can look at that and can try to even imagine what would happen if I was not able to save my wife and kids from being eaten and then having to live with that. So put into a situation where you might jeopardize more people carrying the guilt of what had already happened. He did not want to bring anyone else down. And I don't know if he wanted to turn and then somehow find his family as a zombie. I've seen that come up as a discussion point, but I think more than anything, it was just, I just don't deserve to, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here anymore.
Okay, that's fair enough. Rick, as they laid you by the tree and they're saying their goodbyes, Rick offers you a gun. You did not accept that. Now, you brought up something that you heard discussed. In the comic books, I believe Jim says something to the effect of, maybe my family will come by and I will be reunited with them, sort of hinting that he wanted to die and he wanted to turn into a walker. Mm-hmm. When you were acting out that role, even though that line was not put into that scene, did they mention that to you to play it this way, even though you're not going to actually say the words?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was. I think that is something that is left to the viewer to decide, and the people who know the comic book will be aware of what is happening in that moment. I mean, the realistically, of course, he's not going to be reunited with his family, and that would not happen. But again, the idea of he has to tell himself that's the only way he can. That's one way he can step away from being alive. It's like, well, I'll be with my family. That's where I need to be, with my family. It's a kind of denial, I think, probably.
Yeah, so that
denial of reality.
So he just did not accept the fact. He didn't really believe that, hey, once I'm dead, I'm dead. Whether I reanimate or not, it doesn't matter. I'm dead. You know what I mean? At that point, he didn't care if he came back and eternally roamed the earth as a flesh, just eating corpse.
Right.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So just before everyone drove away, Jim and Daryl, Norman Reedus, you guys had a moment. No words were exchanged. We played that also in the clip, but Daryl gave you a nod. When you made that decision to be left in the woods, do you think at that moment Daryl looked at you and that is the moment that Daryl, like, okay, this guy, I respect him. He's got guts. He is not a wimp. He's not a coward. He is someone that I can respect now. And that's why Daryl gives you that goodbye nod, even though no words were exchanged between the two of you.
No. I think... that's not, I don't think that's how I saw it in the moment. Just when we were doing it, it was just going to be, okay, each person's going to come up. You'll give a look over to Daryl. So we didn't know, we hadn't like choreographed what we were going to do. The thing, even with Dale, when he comes up and he says, thanks for helping or something, they knew how close Jeffrey and I were. And they're like, you guys just say whatever you want, just whatever you feel in the moment. Wow. So there was a lot of, again, being left to whatever happens. I think when I watched it for the first time and when I was doing it, I felt like it was, and Norman might disagree, but I felt like it was from my side more of a sorry I wanted to kill you thing.
So Jim wanted to kill Dale? I mean,
no. More
Daryl wanted to kill
Daryl.
Jim.
More Daryl being like, sorry, I was gonna hit you with that pickaxe.
Yeah, gotcha.
Later, bro.
Later.
Yeah. I didn't see it as, all right, I'll kill myself. Do you respect me now? Like, I wasn't looking at it like that at all.
Yeah, and it didn't look like Jim really cared that much what Daryl thought of him anyways.
No, however, the group was as characters in the story were really tight, and I think he cared about every single one of those people. And I guess there's a part of the decision to stay behind that is like we were saying, that is, well, I don't want to get any of you people hurt or killed. I don't want to be a burden on any of you.
Gotcha.
That's not right either. So many things played in with him wanting to be left behind.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's play different scenarios here. Let's say Jim is not bit. Let's say you guys do go to the CDC and everything unfolds the way it did. The exception is you're there with them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gerald Jackie decides she's lost all hope. She's like, I'm going to stay here with Jenna and die. Jim, being a broken man, feeling as a father, he failed his family. If you were to guess, does he stay with Jackie and Jenna and just, what's the point of going on? Or does he find something in him to leave with the rest of the group and just keep going?
And I think for him to stay with Jackie follows the same lines as to what was happening for Jim. However, I think a more interesting choice would have been, I don't know, grabbing Daryl and strapping some C4 to him, pushing him over, taking his crossbow and diving out the window. That's what I would like to have seen Jim do. Something like that.
Okay. Like a Rambo type action.
Total Rambo situation for Jim. And everyone's like, Jim? What the? And he, grabs a kid, takes a kid out and, just saves everyone. And then the whole rest of the series is Jim's in charge.
That sounds awesome.
It could happen.
Before we continue, we do have a video question from our executive producer, Marko. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you, and then I'll let you answer. So here we go.
Hi, Andrew. Good evening. My name is Marko. I'm the executive producer of Dead Talk Live. I just want to thank you personally for being on our show. I know I'm a huge fan of yours, as well as our fans are too. So again, thank you so much for being here. I just kind of have a statement which is going to lead up to a pretty cool question. First of all, Vatos, which is I think, in my opinion, the best episode of season 1. And the reason why it was such a great episode and it left a big impact is because of your performance in that. So for that, I thank you, and the fans thank you for giving us a gut-wrenching, wonderful just performance. It was amazing. And also the question leads to, how did it feel whacking Greg Nicotero in the head with a bat? I'm sure that must have felt really good. Anyway, enjoy the show, enjoy the hour. Thank you again, and stay walking.
All right. Now, it wasn't a bat. It was a shovel. But
no, it was a bat.
It was a bat?
I think a lot of people think I'm swinging a shovel because of the digging.
You see, I was wrong on that.
I'm almost positive it was a bat. We can fact check that, but I'm pretty sure it was a bat.
Okay, so Marko was correct. So how did it feel?
Now, how does it feel for you having your brother be right about something you thought he was wrong about?
Well, he is my older brother, so
all right, we'll give him that then.
Gotta get used to that over the years.
Yeah. So Marko, thank you. Greg was very excited to anytime he got to be one of the walkers, and there were a couple situations on the show in that first season. There's the one that a bunch of us, the guys, circle around and hit, and then Daryl comes in and shoots him in the head after we cut his head off. I believe that was Greg. That was Greg. And then when he was doing that scene biting Emma, he would get really like giddy and excited that he gets to be the walker in the scene. So it was really fun having him do that. And it's always great when you get to hit someone in the head with a bat. Obviously missed him by about this much.
Yeah.
But camera angles, movie magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That whole night was intense and fun. I had a lot of fun. A lot of people, some of the people on set were, some of the actors were a little bit freaked out by the zombies and the attack, which is great. Good for them. I was just kind of having fun.
Really? So some of the actors who shall remain nameless were actually kind of freaked out by the makeup extras coming at them.
Yes. Yeah. Some people really let that get to them. Another person who will remain nameless, I was on a hike with in Los Angeles in Runyon Canyon, as you do. And something moved in the bushes over there. And she's like, oh God, I thought that was a zombie. There's no zombies. So yeah, it's a really scary thought. The idea of it could be real.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, when we had Emma Bell on here last week, she said that first season was not, the set had not moved yet over to Sonoya. She said it was in Atlanta. Is that where you remember it? Like outside of
the first season?
The first season that you were in.
Yeah.
So it was filmed just outside of Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it was very hot. It was like walking out of the hotel was like walking into a jacuzzi.
Oh man,
it was rough.
Yeah, everybody says that. Now,
I just have to jump on that.
Go ahead.
This was a fun thing. The makeup crew would be going nuts out there, spraying us with dirt and sweat, and they would spray like sweat on us, but we would just sweat it off because it was so hot. So all of the misery of the heat of Atlanta that it looks like we're going through is 100% real.
Yeah.
And that also, along with the crew being in the same situation, is a wonderfully bonding experience. We're all in this together.
Exactly.
We're all in this hot hell together.
I could totally understand that. Now, let's say Jim survived season 1. As far as character arcs, okay? You already sort of hinted at that you would have liked to see him become a badass Rambo type character. Let's just say he went on for a little bit longer. Is that how you would realistically see Jim's character arc going?
Putting the Rambo image aside.
Which is kind of hard to do.
It's very hard. I mean, you think Rambo.
Exactly.
Honestly, he would have been much more of like the quiet planner, like the sniper type of guy. Like he'll listen to what everyone says, and he's like, if he agrees, great. If he doesn't, he's just going to say one or two things to make it, this is what we should do. And then they put him, and then he hangs out somewhere to like do a specific task of take this guy out, do that thing. I think he would become very just kind of focused and always, like we were talking before, always needing a specific thing to do because he doesn't want to let that be pulled away and sink back into the knowledge of what happened.
Gotcha.
Like anyone on that show, anyone who survived, you've got to push that stuff away and deal with the task at hand,
Because the world is changing literally every second. Now, when you got the role of Jim, did they tell you up front how long you would last?
Yes. And sometimes when you work on a show, you're told you have one episode, you wind up having 4 or 5, or you stay for the whole thing. Sometimes they tell you you'll be here for the whole season, and you get on there and they kill you after a couple episodes. So I was told there would be 4 episodes, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I felt like it was a pretty solid decision at that time. And also because of what happens in the comics, it seemed like they were, although they were definitely, veering here and there from what the comics said, I knew that it was going to be 4 episodes. I was pretty clear on that. What was going to happen in those episodes, the amount of, what scenes, what I'd be involved in, I didn't know about until I would get a script. So no, I knew how long I'd be there. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen in the interim, and I was really, really happy with the work that Frank gave me to do in episodes 4 and 5 especially, but even before that there's some great stuff.
That's awesome. I mean, when your time wrapped, and it was pretty much near the end anyway, what was the overall feeling on the set? I asked this from a lot of people that were in season 1 or involved with season 1, with Frank Darabont and all the other crew members and the cast. Was there a sense of excitement that you guys, laid the foundation for something really special? Was there just anxiety, crossing your fingers, waiting for it to premiere and hope that it does well, that somebody watches it?
It's more the latter. You never know when you create something, what people will think of it, what the network will think of it, what the ratings will. You have no idea. So I think we were all very careful to be knowledgeable that, hey, we did I think we might have done some really good work here. Mm-hmm. This was very interesting. It's a zombie show, and there was some really good stuff happening. Exactly. Beyond that, you do not. It's deadly to start thinking about, wow, this is going to be huge. I do remember someone saying to Andy Lincoln, he's like looking at him one day and being like, "You're going to explode. Your life is over now. You know that, right?" But beyond that, they're really, you want to be real careful. And it's not about jinxing. It's not about, what's going to happen. I think it's going to happen no matter what. But it's more about, it's not worth getting excited about or thinking that planning for what you're going to do now for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Hopefully you do the work and you work with good people, and at the end of it, you have a little party and you're happy, and then you see what happens next.
That totally makes sense. So what was it like working with John Bernthal way back in 2010? Did he stay in character all day like we hear Andrew Lincoln did, or did he break character in between takes?
He was a big baby. If it weren't for me, I don't think he'd be where he's at today. He was great. It's very interesting. He's not about staying in character the whole time.
Okay.
It's just that there is a Bernthal personality that, and honestly, at first I'm like, who's this jerk? God. Ugh. And then you spend time with him, like, oh, he's a great jerk. He's got an amazing heart. He's sweet. He's committed to doing his job, and he cares 1,000,000% about the other actors. And he's very considerate and very giving. And no, I love the guy. I had a great time with him, and then we got to work again, and same thing. Just an all-around good guy.
Awesome. He seems like a great guy. Now, what was it like getting that call, email that they wanted you to come back in season 3 to be a voice that Rick hallucinates over the phone? Did that surprise the crap out of you?
It surprised the crap out of me. Yeah. It was a great little call to get from my manager. Now, of course, when you first hear that they called, you're like, oh my God, I'm going back on the show. That's not what happened. No. But still, it was just to be without hesitation. Yes, of course. Where do I got to be?
Yeah.
What do you need? I'm there. And a lot of that I attribute to the not just the great experience with the cast that I had on the first season, but just the producers, the people who'd be on the set behind the scenes, the way everything was handled when I was there in the first season. I can't speak beyond that.
Yeah.
Just nothing but good feelings and good people, and so happy to get to jump back in there for a minute. Yeah.
How did it make you feel that of all the people that Rick has lost, that they're like, Jim, that is a person that left an impact. That is something that Rick held deep into his heart, and he has to be one of the people that he hallucinates getting a phone call from. How did that make you feel? Did that change your opinion about Jim's character and his impact that he had on Andy, on Rick's character alone?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about that. That's
because you got to admit, I mean, there was some time between your time on season 1 to when Laurie dies and he's losing his mind and he gets his phone call, and it's only from a select. He only hears a select few voices, but Jim is one of them.
Yeah, Jim was Jim was one of the first people he had to deal with a human and making a decision to not. He's a police officer. He helps, he saves, and here's a guy saying, "Don't save me. Don't do your job. Make a choice that is against everything in your heart and your soul." So I can see why that would have a huge effect.
An imprint.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Beyond that, I don't know. You'd have to ask the people who made the decision who he's going to get the calls from.
Gotcha.
I'd be curious to hear how they came up with that.
So let's just say you get another call. Okay, they want to bring the character of Jim back as some sort of flashback to close out the series, which is coming to an end in 2022. Would you say yes, the same way you did in season 3, and say, "Where do you want me?"
Of course. Yes. Yeah. How my exit was good. My experience with the show was good. It was beyond that. I feel like I owe a lot to that show. And I would be happy to lend my services in any way at all possible.
That might be. That's great. Now, in
case they're listening,
let's move away from The Walking Dead for a little bit. All right. You also played recurring roles in other major TV series prior to The Walking Dead, including the very popular HBO vampire series True Blood. That was back in 2008. Your character on that show was Malcolm, and you were the leader of a small nest of vampires. Was this what led you to taking the role of Jim on in The Walking Dead?
No. It had nothing to do with it. True Blood was... I think I literally had just moved to LA. It was one of the first auditions I went into. Felt very lucky. Alan Ball was there in the audition. He was the producer and the creator of the show. Had an amazing time being a vampire. Little side note, sitting in my living room the other day, I heard the theme of the show running in the apartment upstairs.
Oh.
So my neighbors might be hit me up pretty soon. But no, that had I in no way was drawn into the genre or pursuing following that. It just so happened that Walking Dead came up 2 years after that.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah,
year and a half.
Yeah. Now, you have worked on many great shows over the years. Way too many to list, but some include ER, Walker, Texas Ranger, Prison Break, like we said, True Blood, and then, of course, The Walking Dead. When you look back now on Reflect, which role and TV show really stands out in your mind as one of your best performances on the screen? Looking back, you've had a long career. You are a veteran beyond a veteran.
All right, I'll write with the long thing. Okay, let's not push that.
Which role are you most proud of? Hard question, huh? Because there's so many.
It's a hard question. Yeah. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, Walker, Texas Ranger. Come on, Chuck Norris. Come on,
Chuck Norris.
Two episodes of that. Totally different people on each episode. I got beat up in one and blown up in a truck in another. Look, it's interesting. So as an actor, you put together your reels. You put together like scenes from different stuff to send to people for casting when you're doing other stuff. And there's a few of them that when I go through and edit or talk to someone about getting a scene up on the website to make sure it's there, there's a few scenes in The Walking Dead that I feel are probably some of my best work on camera.
Yeah.
And again, I attribute that to the whole production and the family that we created on that show. It felt I'd done a lot of theater beforehand, before I did The Walking Dead. And in theater, you always create this really tight-knit family, and it's intense, and you're with each other, and you trust each other, and you're up in front of an audience, and it's you have to trust that person next to you has got your back.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always happen on TV. It just doesn't. Walking Dead definitely was one of the few times that I felt that kind of trust and security in the people I was working with. That was definitely one of the best for experiences for me. True Blood was just so much fun. And similarly to The Walking Dead, you get there and you put the teeth in, and you're like, this might be really stupid because it's the first season and you don't know if this is going to be a dumb vampire. What am I doing right now? What is that? But you do it and you commit to it, and I had a really great time. I would love to have had some more time with Malcolm.
Yeah.
A little more vampire time. I mean, who doesn't want to be a vampire?
Yeah.
So much fun. Beyond that, I did a little one episode thing on a show called Dark Blue, which was a lot of fun. I just kind of played this really bad sidekick to a like small time mafia guy.
Uh-huh.
And I had a lot of fun doing that. So look that one up. But definitely I drawn to the darker stuff, Walking Dead, especially the stuff where I'm tied to the tree, and John Bernthal's character's coming over and talking to me, and that's I don't know, those scenes I loved working on that stuff with them. So
that scene for me, when John Bernthal has you on the ground and he's trying to convince you, Jim, no one is gonna hurt you, and then you reveal what happens to your family. And what I did is I took in your performance, but I also looked at the faces of Sarah Wayne Callies and with Laurie Holden, and just their expression of like, oh my God, we had no idea that this happened to this man. This is how he lost his family. And I know that was all scripted, that was all acted, but your performance, while Shane had you on the ground and your face is smushed right up against that grass, to me, that's your best moment on The Walking Dead. That is just that.
Oh, thank you.
That grabs you. I mean, that just grabs you. It grabs you in the gut. Now, are you looking to the future? Are you interested in branching out from acting sometime? Maybe dipping your hand into some producing or directing?
Of course, I wouldn't mind directing. I know some people who think I'd probably I should start directing so I could stop telling them what to do. But it's not something that I've actively pursued.
Uh-huh.
But I think often for actors that happens when they work on a show for a long time and they're around that world like every day, month after month, year after year, and then they're like, okay, I see how it works to put all this together. Let me give that a try.
Yeah.
I've worked on little independent projects, and I definitely enjoy that. But it's not something I have pursued actively. But I could definitely be interested in that. Yeah.
That's great. Now, you mentioned earlier when you got the role of Jim, you were told to pack your bags for Atlanta for a couple of months. How much time did it actually take to film your part in The Walking Dead? Was it really months? If so, how many?
So I believe it was close to 2 months.
Okay.
There was another episode after I was done. I actually I had a rental car and I was able to drive back up to Chicago to see my family. When I usually had like maybe a week off or something, I'd drive up there and drive back. And I remember I left and I came back for the wrap party because I was done.
Yeah.
Before they shot the last episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was about 2 months, and I'd never been to Atlanta, and I had a great time. Oh my God, the food there, it can kill you. It can just go straight to your heart. It's all over.
That wrap party, I guess this is the first time I'm hearing of that. That season 1 wrap party, without revealing too much. How was that?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys must have had a blast.
Well, you know what's interesting? It's like most wrap parties, most of the lead actors, a lot of the actors don't come because they're exhausted. They work so hard. If anyone thinks that lead actors get paid a lot of money and don't earn it, you are 100% wrong. These people are on set all day and then working on lines for the next day all night. And when they wake up, these people work their asses off. So there were a few cast members, a lot of the crew. It was funny because I showed up and I'd been gone for like a week and a half or whatever it was. And it was great to see everyone, but it was just, there were a lot of kids or like families and their kids were there. And there's a dance area and they had, a DJ, whatever. But like I wind up doing at a lot of weddings, it's like, oh, let's, just start dancing and being a goofball.
Yeah.
And they've basically seen me being this dark, depressed, miserable man for 2 months. And then there's this guy who's out there being a goofball dancing like Michael Jackson.
Fun Andrew. Fun Andy.
Fun Andrew. He can be fun too. So it was a blast. I'm really glad it was honestly, it was something that they weren't. It's like, okay, you're done. Bye.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'll be back for the party. So save me a seat.
Okay.
Because it feels weird to just be done and leave. Because I felt I'm part of the family.
Oh, yeah.
I want to come. I want to be there for the adios. So.
Okay. And no matter what happens in the future with The Walking Dead, you will forever be a part of that OG, the original gang of The Walking Dead. Now, moving on. Do you have any regrets on a role that you have turned down or maybe did not audition for that you're like, damn, that was a missed, that could have been something really fun that I just let slip through my fingers?
I'm flattered that you would think that I'm in that place where I say, no, not that. No, not that. Yes, that. No, I have not. I think any actor in my position has a list of the things that they got close to, or they almost got, or they thought they were going to get, or they thought they nailed, and they did not get.
Yeah.
There's a couple of those, of course, and I've, and there will be more. I'm, into the future,
Exactly.
but I'm really glad that I got to do what I did do and what I've got coming up. And that's the life of an actor,
Gotcha.
You never know what's next.
Gotcha. Now, you played a small part in what is, without a doubt, one of the best seasons of American Horror Story. Okay?
Yeah.
That's season 2, Asylum of American Horror Story. What was the experience like? Did you get to interact with the iconic Jessica Lange and also Sarah Paulson? What was that, set or working or even seeing, those legendary Jessica Lange? I mean, Jessica Lange.
She's amazing.
She was She was in King Kong, I mean.
Well, yes, and other things.
Yeah, and other things, but King Kong.
King Kong. I mean, come on.
What was that like?
I mean, Meryl Streep, Mamma Mia, come on. It was great because it's funny with True Blood and Walking Dead. I was in the first season of it. It wasn't, no one knew about it.
Yeah.
We didn't know if it was going to be any good. American Horror Story, you go in there and it's already a huge thing, and now I get to be on the thing that everyone knows is huge and cool,
Yeah,
and smart and interesting and scary and weird. So that was great. I was going to I completely forgot to look up the name of the woman who played my wife. She's an amazing actress. She played Calamity Jane on Deadwood, and I love her. She's amazing. So I got to work with her as my wife. Jessica Lange, she's a legend and an incredibly smart actress, and to get to sit there with and act across from her was shocking. But just putting all that away and showing up and doing the work, which is what you got to do. But just being on that set and Ryan Murphy being there running around doing his thing, that asylum, just the staircase that went up forever, that was all there. And
what a creepy place that set must have been.
Creepy. Yeah.
Man.
I actually, whenever I'm on a set, I do photography, and whenever I'm on a set and I'm not doing anything, I walk around and I take weird pictures of like my character in odd situations, or I try and do a lot of documenting of the kind of my own version of what it's like to be on that set.
That's great.
And that one was a lot of fun to be on.
Wow, I can imagine all the great pics you have over the years. Do you ever think about maybe one day down the line putting a little coffee table book together?
One day.
Yeah.
One day.
Why? Yeah.
I'll do it.
Why not? Anyway, guys, we are out of time. Andrew, I want to thank you for a fascinating chat. It's been great.
Thank you.
It's been great having you here with us. It's been a treat. It's been an honor. There's no other word to describe it, to get the chance to talk to you. My brother says Robin Weigert is the name of the actress.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. You see?
Robin Weigert is amazing actress.
He looked it up. Robin Weigert.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's episode. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. I'll be back on the air again tomorrow night. Stay safe, everyone. And of course, as always, stay walking. Good night, everyone.